Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Conqueror's Blade. So, what have we got going on today? Today we're going to be taking a look at the Imperial Pike Guards. We'll take a look at them in the unit tree first, these guys here. So, I have covered these guys before in another video, and I quite enjoyed them then, but I've since deleted them out. And now level 16, I want to say? Yeah, there we go, 16. But effectively, it's finished the veterancy line. They actually fully max out at 18, but that just adds another 6% piercing defense. So doesn't really add much to the overall unit. You know, it's going to add, what's that, like another 34 to the piercing defense. Not going to make a great deal of difference to their playstyle. The main thing is, I've since unlocked basically the double strike effect. So now with a single strike, now with a single brace position or a single thrust, a soldier will hit 2 people at once rather than 1. So it basically vastly increases the amount of damage they can do to grouped up enemies. That makes kind of a difference, and I kind of wanted to revisit them. On top of that, I think the way the meta has kind of changed a little bit. There's been quite an emphasis towards heavily armoured units. Maybe things we're seeing a lot of Imperial Spear Guard, a lot of Spear Sergeants, a lot of the Halberdiers and Halberdier Sergeants, so the Pike units. And these Imperial Pikemen, I think, are one of the ultimate counters to that in a sense. And I think that's something that a lot of people should be using and taking advantage of because they have a lot of benefits. Now, I think firstly, I think it should be pointed out that I think a lot of people, when they look at what makes a good unit, is how many kills it can get. So, for example, when people look at archers, people like to be able to get the maximum kills, output the maximum amount of damage, have the best accuracy. Or they like things like prefecture guards because they can get lots of kills very quickly, or pike militia for all these purposes. I don't think Imperial Pikemen fits into that gap. They aren't the greatest killing unit in the game. They have their moments. When you get them advancing into a very nice clustered group of enemies, particularly if they've already been a bit damaged and stuff, you can actually get quite a lot of kills quite quickly, and they do work very well in that situation. That's not their primary purpose, in my opinion. They are, in my opinion, the unit to take points. They're the game-winning unit. And I think that's a different sort of playstyle to just trying to get kills. So what I mean by that is, these guys have an ability called Advance. Let's see if we can actually find it. This one here. And it basically is what they do. They level their pikes and walk forwards. And while they can still be knocked down by explosives and stuff, they basically become unstoppable for the 5 or so seconds of that advance. Everything they walk into gets pushed back and takes damage, gets knocked over, gets staggered back, and can't attack back at the Imperial Pikemen. And it basically means they can clear an area in a way that nothing else can, because they can push through and drive everything back off the point. And they're one of those units, particularly when you get onto things like the final point on a siege battle and stuff, when it's quite a stalemate, there's lots of archers raining in, lots of units in the centre. These guys can come in, set up, push and clear a point in a way that nothing else can. And I think that's where they excel. But anyway, with that being said, let's hop into some footage and kind of take a little bit of a look at some of these guys in action. So one thing you will kind of rapidly find with this unit is that they are pretty painfully slow. They're a heavy armour unit, they have a really slow movement speed. They act a little bit like Imperial Spear Guard in that sense. But once you get there and get your advance on, it is quite fun to see the vast amounts of damage ticking up as basically every unit within the vicinity ends up taking damage from them. And that's where they're really quite nice. Particularly now they've got that double hit, that double hit mechanic on the veterancy line. That kind of adds to the amount of damage they can do a little bit, kind of nicely. But yeah, really nice unit. Great for clearing sections like that, for pushing on through. I think this one kind of highlights it even nicer. So we're on to the final point here. Quite a lot of enemies around the corner. I know they're not immediately on the point initially, but you'll see they start to come through. The Reapers start to come through to try and come on. And I activate my advanced bow, block the Reapers, stop them getting to point, and start to push through the point. And that's kind of the important thing here. I have to focus on this hero, but the unit is pushing through the point. And there we go, I've pushed through, I've now got them in brace. And they're stopping all these units from flooding onto the point. It's allowing our guys to cap, or at least our guys to clear out the enemies behind, because this is the main enemy route to our spawn. And they're getting trebbed a little bit in a minute, although I think, well, those Reapers probably don't think it was worthwhile, but at least it keeps the enemies at bay. And that's the point of this unit. I'm not getting hundreds and hundreds of kills, but ultimately it wins us the game because it pushes us through the final point rather than actually having a fight on the point. It enables me to push through, and nothing can come back through that. Once they're starting to advance, they're basically an unstoppable force until that advance times out, and that enables you to push off and through the point and get the cap. So a little bit more of a generic game here, just kind of to show how the unit does have some survivability. So I spawn in a really bad spot here. That's my fault, I didn't pick my location. So I'm kind of cut off. The enemy are forced through the gateway already, and there's no way back to the sort of the safety of the castle from here. So I've got to fight my way through. So I'm coming down here. I'm seeing there's quite a few enemies in the gateway. I'm just going to go for it. Was my thinking. I just sort of thought, sod it, you know, let's get here, let's get in and try and push through. I think these Imperial Spearguards realised their fate and tried to run. But once I activate my advance, you see it clips them anyway, and then they basically all get knocked down. A few of them escape, but by and large they all get killed there as we push on through the gateway. Then as my advance is over, I just pull the unit through. Yes, we take some losses, but if I'd stood and tried to make a fight on the other side, we'd have lost the whole unit. So it was definitely worthwhile. I would like to pull back to the supply point at this point to heal them up, but B was under threat. You know, there's one poor guy in here on his own. I have to go and help. A little bit harsh, and that hero just ulting him. I know I could have just hit him probably and he'd have died anyway, but it helped secure the kill. So, and we get through. Friendly halberdiers turn up. So okay, I'm thinking, right, I'm in a good position. I just want to sit at the back a little bit because the cooldown on this advanced ability is about 50 seconds. It's quite a long cooldown. You know, really noticeably long. Nothing you can do about that. I mean, thankfully it is. I mean, if it had a shorter cooldown, it would start to get kind of overpowered, but. With the cooldown as it is, you know, you do have to think about timings and sort of pushing through, holding out, and then pulling back. So, as we see the enemies start to come through, you know, we've got an Imperial Spearguard coming down, a very tough unit to deal normally, and there's some other pikemen and a unit of Prefecture Guard. I decided at this point I was worried about the enemy pikemen advancing, so I decided just to go for it. And you can see the amount of hits we are getting. Look at that, look at the flurry of numbers that we're getting as we go through. And then as we push through and as our advance runs out, I put them on the brace. Their brace isn't amazing, but, you know, now with that double hit, it's not so bad. You know, you can see the amount of damage we're still doing just in brace mode. It is perfectly respectable and not bad. So we still get quite a bit of damage in there, still getting plenty of kills as we push the unit thing. And we've still got some guys left alive. You know, the unit is not yet out. No, just stick them into normal mode while everyone sort of differentiates up to clear off the last few sort of stragglers we've got going on here. And we end up with, ultimately, a pretty diminished unit, which is pretty low health. And I'm thinking, well, they're pretty much doomed now. I saw quite a few enemies kind of pushing up behind us, so I thought, well, maybe we'll have a look here. We're going to end up with a little bit of a spike of lag, but then I think, all right, let's push through here. You know, ultimately we die, we don't do that much here. But you can still, even with, you know, just a handful of units, we still massively disrupt their formation. And able to get a fair bit of damage in on them, considering, and it enables our allies behind to come in and kind of lend that support. And that really sums this unit up. It's the ultimate pushing unit. You know, it's not always going to be the best killer. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you get those battles where you push into, you know, a massive group of enemies and you get loads of kills. But by and large, it's not about the kills. It's about the ability to push and take a point when it's, you know, strongly opposed in the way that no other unit really can. And that's what makes it a great unit. So anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully it was kind of an enjoyable video. If it was, do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Of course, subscribe to the channel for a load more Conquerors Blade content, and I shall see you guys all on the next video.